It's the May webinar here of 2026. Not going to be a super long one today, but it's a little bit more in depth of how we look at Brilliant installations and actually help you configure some things. So here's the agenda. Quick introduction of myself. The ICYMI is the in case you missed it updates. Just recapping what was in the monthly newsletter, and then designing the Brilliant home using the electrical diagrams. This is what is really the focus of it. This is what I do and part of the services that we offer. So whether you're new into Brilliant and kind of understanding how should I be placing this when I'm designing a home, or even if you're seasoned and experienced, what could you be doing different? How should you be looking at it? What are some of those advanced configurations you might see? How to approach designing a system? And of course, we'll wrap it up with a Q&A. So naturally, I am your host per usual, Ryan Okimoto, or as you know, I go by Oki. 7 years now coming up with Brilliant, based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. Actually a little drizzly and the sun's trying to peek its way out here today. It's not always all sunshine and rainbows, but that's okay. It's all good. I lead the sales enablement, customer success, and education. All of that flows through me. But yeah, maybe 25, 30 minutes today, not a super long one, but we'll go ahead and jump into the updates. What you missed. The first thing that we do want to make sure you were aware of in case you missed it in the monthly newsletter is the buy controls, get plugs for free promo that we have going on. And you'll notice that's hyperlinked. I already clicked it, so I'm going to exit out of my full screen and pop you into here. This is what the promo is. So this is a limited time that we're running through the end of June, but our smart plugs are going to be available and we're giving them away with order purchase size. So if I zoom in a little right here, you can see on the offer details, I want to let you know that for every 5-pack of the PoE control that you purchase, we're going to give you a free 10-pack of smart plugs, okay? If you buy 3 or more hardwired, so our traditional high voltage controls, you get 5 smart plugs for free. And this is, again, good through the 30th. These can be combined. So if you were to buy a 5-pack as well as 3 hardwires controls, that means you're getting 15 smart plugs. Now, when we look at the smart plugs, that's nice because they're more than just a smart plug. Yes, it's great because we can turn those lamps on and off, give power to devices, or not give power when we don't want them. But as a kind of secondary feature, if you haven't gone or maybe not as technical savvy, Brilliant for our dimmer switches, excuse me, we operate on what's called Brilliant Mesh, which is a version of Bluetooth. The dimmers are not operating off of Wi-Fi, nor are the smart plugs operating off of Wi-Fi either. It's that Brilliant Mesh. So when we think about designing a home and designing a system, very apropos for this webinar, if I only have one Brilliant control in my home, and then I try and install a dimmer switch, on the other side of the house, that's trying to connect via Bluetooth or our Brilliant Mesh. It's not going to make that connection. So a secondary feature of our smart plugs is that it acts as a mesh repeater to have that signal strength to then say, hey, if I have a dimmer that's too far away, I can talk to that smart plug that's in the middle, and then from that smart plug back to the Brilliant control. So it's used to help boost the signal strength between dimmer switches and plugs in maybe unique situations. Maybe it's thicker walls. Maybe it's a far distance between dimmers. We never like to go more than, I'd say, 2, maybe 3 rooms top because of that Bluetooth connectivity. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes just the way the home is designed, the way they want to put a smart dimmer, that's just what you're limited by. The smart plug is a way to solve that. So these are always great as troubleshooting pieces. Use it as a free add-on, as a gift to your clients, as a gift to the customers, saying, hey, we're going to give you this for free just for being a part of Brilliant, and let them know you're probably going to want to keep it in a specific location if it's used as part of your troubleshooting tool. If it's not, great, fantastic, they get a smart plug, and just let them know, hey, when you plug this in or when we plug this in, I've already configured it for you. You want to keep this within a room or two of a Brilliant control so it can have that proper connection. So please keep that in mind. There is that secondary feature and secondary benefit to having a smart plug, but that's a big promo that we're running. We wanted you to have these. We want you to put them inside of your clients' homes. I mean, obviously the one are Christmas lights and the holidays, but so much more opportunity beyond just that, whether it's troubleshooting, whether it's corner lamps, general lights, just devices that hey, I just want this to turn on or off, and I want to be able to control it remotely. Of course, when you use the smart plug, anything that you plug into it, you can control via the Brilliant app or the Brilliant control, and it can be tied into all of our scenes and automations and routines, whatever you want to have it be plugged into. So really quick, we wanted to make sure you were aware of that. And it's also not automatically added to the cart. You have to manually add it to the cart before completing your purchase. So again, you can review the monthly newsletter to find that information. You have questions about it, you can ask us. You can always ask the account manager that you have, which is going to be Marcus, myself, potentially Javier, or even our new head of sales, Darren. So reach out to any of us and we'll guide you through that process. Jumping back in, let me move my picture so I can start the slideshow. POE. We've heard some great feedback from you on POE. Thank you for all the feedback that's been coming. We started originally in 5-packs. We still have those 5-packs, as you saw, because when you order the 5-pack, you'll be getting some free smart plugs. But we heard it enough from you that we've decided to make a temporary change. That we are going to be offering the POE in individual single packs, individual units. Now, there is a cost to that for shipping. That's why we did bulk them together as 5. So as the introductory offer, when we do the single packs of the POE, it's going to remain at that $6.99 price point. But as of June 26th, to cover that extra cost, it will go up to $7.29. So keep that in mind if you have a future job coming up, if you know you're going to be doing a bunch more POE, or maybe you just want that individual option to test out for yourself, test it out with a client, whatever that situation is, those individuals will be sold as individuals at the $6.99 price point through June 26th. Then after that, it'll go up to the $7.29 price point. So we're bringing the single pack to you because you requested it. So we're going to obviously be tracking that. Give us more feedback. If the single pack wasn't right, maybe you want 3-pack, or if the 5-pack is still too much and maybe we should drop it to 3-pack, or keep with single and 3, 1, 3, 5. You tell us. Your feedback is what's helping to make these changes, because we're trying to make it the best experience for you, make the best experience for your clients. And we know clients love to see, hey, it's a fresh new pack that you open up to go ahead and install something if you are there live on site. The next piece on there, it feels like it's early to talk about Cedia, because Cedia is all the way in September, October. I've even forgot, I think September, forgive me. But it's actually not, because we've signed up, we've registered, we have our big, large booth, we're already prepping for it. But with our sign up, we actually have free hall passes that we can give you to be a part. If you're planning on being in Denver this year, if you're planning on coming to Cedia and you want to walk the show floor for free, let us know and we can give you that passcode. It'll be Brilliant26. We can give it to you. You'll be a part of there. We'd love you to come by the booth, ask questions, share your insights, give us feedback, and really just hear the pulse of what you're seeing out there in the world. And we don't, of course, have to wait until Cedia, but there's no better time than actually FaceTime. And we love to go out there, see you, shake the hand, share the stories, really everything that's a part of being a product vendor for you and supporting you and your businesses, and really just trying to delight the client. So if you are planning on attending, let us know. We can get you in for free, save you a little bit of money there. Finally, the last thing in case you missed it, there is a new blog post on tech and home renovations with our partner distributor up in Canada, Artech. So I was able to join the partners up there for a webinar, or I should say podcast. Now we record the podcasts to post on YouTube and everything like that. But great conversation, very knowledgeable, fantastic insights into kind of how we can support them as a distributor, how they're approaching it, how their dealer base is, tackling smart home, tackling security, tackling cameras, tackling all these different pieces. But if you know you're going for a long drive, you have some extra time and you're not sick of my voice yet, I'm teasing, of course. There's always great insights to be shared, and it's something we want to help to promote. We want to make sure we get eyeballs on, because there's always something new to learn. I'm learning things all the time by talking with partners. It's better, for me, I feel like at times I get caught in my little bubble, and it's good for me to get outside of that bubble to hear what partners are saying, hear what clients are saying, and these podcasts, these webinars, these are ways to connect and really understand what's going on. So we encourage you to go track that down. You can find it. We posted on LinkedIn, posted on our blog. It's all there for you to have a good listen. So we encourage you with that. That's the In Case You Missed It updates. Be on the lookout for the next monthly newsletter coming out in June, but that's the big ones for May. So what we're delving into today, the main topic is actually going to be, too far, we're not going into that one. I'm actually going to be pulling up, where is it? Right here. Something like this. And I am still sharing my screen, so let's make this full screen right here. And there we go. All right, let's zoom in on these blueprints. So this is something that has been happening more and more as we've signed up new dealers, as you're bringing in more opportunities, saying, hey, Oki, I have this large job. I have this big project. It's a custom home, this VIP client. They don't like the other high-end control systems. They want something that's simple. We want to go with Brilliant. I say, great, fantastic. What are we looking at? And you can tell me anything hey, here's a basic solution all the way to an advanced. But for those of you that are maybe just getting started, you're handed this, the electrical diagram. And like, okay, well, where do I go? What's the best way to look at this? What's the best way to analyze this? This is part of what we do and offer. So if you're ever uncomfortable looking at one of these and you want hey, let's get the Brilliant guy, let's get Brilliant's opinion on how to do this. I look at these often. I help design systems. This is part of that customer success that we offer to you to whether it be reinforce what you've already drawn up and put together, or just from a blank slate, what we can do. So I have 2 different diagrams that we're going to walk through and even mark up a little bit so you can see how I approach this and I look at designing a home, designing a system, whether it be for a condo or a penthouse, whether it be for a large single family home, any of that. And we're going to look at this diagram first as the example. And let me just go up and make sure I have my icon. I think I want that one there for drawing if I need to draw. Nope, I don't want that one. Make sure I go back up. There we go. I got my pen right there. There we go. A nice little orange pen so you can see. So let's go and we're going to build this up from scratch. Obviously, the first thing we're going to do is look at this is unit 1. And let's analyze this unit. So this is more of a penthouse type of suite, penthouse type of unit. So looking at this, I can see here's my closet, here's the kitchen area, so where's my front door? Great, here's the elevator, hallway. This is my front door right here. So traditionally, and we see a lot of people do this, I even recommended it, your entry exit points are great starting places to have a Brilliant control. That way when you're home, you walk right in, boop, you can tap your I'm home and your I'm home scene, turns on lights, plays music, adjusts your thermostats, raises or lowers shades, whatever sort of scenes and automations you've put together. But let's look at this unit specifically here, unit 1. I have my 2 light switches right here and a closet, so that's a nice little hallway entry, but I also have a 4-gang spot right here with the $4 signs or light switches. So if I put a 2-gang here, let's go through some of the experience that Brilliant offers. Well, let's say there's a doorbell here. Someone presses that doorbell. That's far if I'm cooking in the kitchen. That's far if I'm in the family room. I want to look over my shoulder and see who's on that Brilliant control. So I actually probably wouldn't put a Brilliant control in the 2-gang right here. I would start with the 4-gang. And this right here, this is where I would put a 4-gang Brilliant control to start. It's right there. Gotta get rid of that. Gotta work my PDF skills better. So I put a 4-gang Brilliant right here. Now, looking at this, generally, we're also a bit conscious of where are my 3-way locations? Where are my 4-way locations with the lights? Specifically, if you've noticed, traditionally with that $sign, there'd be a little 3 next to it to identify that this is a 3-way. This diagram doesn't have it, and I've noticed that just by looking. So if I were to track kind of these little dotted lines, that's connected to the lights. So I can see that, hey, my 4th switch right here, it's a dotted line to can light, can light, can light, can light, can light, but it's also backed over here to this 2nd switch. So hey, that 4th slider, that 4th gang, that's actually in a 3-way with this spot over here. So let's think about this for a control perspective. We know if we're doing a dimmer switch on one end of that 3-way, the other end does need to be another Brilliant dimmer switch. However, with a Brilliant control, this switch over here, I can choose. If I want that to be a Brilliant dimmer switch, I can do that. Or if I want it to be a traditional on-off paddle switch, I'm allowed to do that. I can keep that. So if I'm just keeping this a very basic, very simple installation, I'm probably not going to change that 2nd switch. I have my 4-gang control. Hey, I know I'm good in a 3-way, line side or load side, doesn't matter. I'll leave this as a traditional paddle switch over here. That way I don't have to worry about it. So we'll start with our 4-gang there. Looking at other places inside. Okay, there's on the right side, there's nowhere that's a switch that I have to worry about. What is this one? This is for the hallway. So that's a hallway right here separating. So if I slowly move up, a hallway, and that hallway is also in a 3-way. So let's say I have the switch right here. I want motion to turn these lights on in the evening. I put a dimmer switch here. So let's go ahead and mark with a, nope, not that. I want the pen icon. Let's go a D. That's a bad D, but that's a D for a dimmer. If I put a dimmer there, that means this other one right here is also going to have to be a dimmer switch. Let's put it. Oh, come on, PDF skills. I'm just going to put it 1D, one dimmer there. So now, great, we've had 4 gain control, put in 2 dimmers for our 3-way. And then let's go to the bedroom over here. Looks like there's 1 light switch for the 4 cans. There's a light switch over here for the closet. Probably not going to need anything in the closet. If I'm going simple here, let's say I have a choice if I have this single gang right here. The choice I'm thinking of is if I want to put a brilliant control, so when that doorbell is pressed, it pops up here and I can see it from a bedroom, or if I want to put a dimmer switch here. Now, traditionally, let's say I didn't put that dimmer in, I get rid of those right there. Let's say, hey, the first instinct is, hey, I put 1 brilliant control and 1 brilliant dimmer right here. What is the problem that we might run into in this situation? And I'm not talking about the Wi-Fi. Let's say we're assuming robust Wi-Fi throughout. There's a couple access points. We blanket in this place in Wi-Fi. Well, what do we talk about on just early on how the dimmers connect? The dimmers connect off of Brilliant Mesh, which is a version of Bluetooth. There's potential that this distance across the hall, the open space, the hallway through the door, maybe this wall right here could be blocking a bit of that signal. Well, there's a chance that this dimmer switch might not get a proper connection. We'd want to include an extra smart plug, maybe plug it into an outlet right here, plug it into an outlet maybe on this wall, to be able to piggyback and daisy chain. So if you want a real basic, hey, just 1 control, 1 dimmer in this, might not be that right solution because I want to make sure I'm getting proper signal strength across. Now, if I want brilliant control here, let's put a C for control, well, then there's no issue. It simply connects to the Wi-Fi and I have my situation right there. Great. Put a control. Now looking at this, I can put a dimmer here, put a dimmer there, put 2 dimmers here, end of the 3-way, all not a problem. And I can load it up with dimmers because I've evenly spaced my controls across the house. And that's kind of a great idea and way to think about how we place controls is we do want even placements. And as a best practice, I don't like to go more than maybe 1 or 2 hops in any one direction. And by hop, I mean control dimmer to dimmer before I get to another brilliant control. If I'm going 3 hops in any one direction, we want to make sure that experience for our clients is snappy. It's incredibly responsive. If I go hop 1 to 1 dimmer, hop 2 to a second dimmer, hop 3 to a third dimmer, well, now even if that's a single pole, 1 light switch, 1 light, it still has to talk all the way back to main control for that software. And not to say it can't do it, our software can allow it, but it's always about delivering that best possible experience that your clients are going to be delighted with. So I would definitely think about potentially, hey, if that's a further distance that I'm truly using that mesh to hop, I would think about putting a single gain control in that last spot over there to, again, make sure it's snappy and responsive. Another best practice, in case you maybe are newer into this or haven't gone through the full technical training, our brilliant controls can support what engineering has said up to 30 dimmer switches per 1 control. And I always want to make sure we're aware of this because I've seen some orders come through. It's 1 brilliant control and I've seen 60 dimmers. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's too many dimmers. The control's not going to be able to handle it because the controls are responsible for all the updates, managing the mesh for every single one of those dimmers. Engineering has told me 30. I don't want to press the system. And again, it's making sure we're not stressing it. It's solid for your end user. 15 to 20 dimmers for every 1 brilliant control. That's a number that I feel confident and strong with. And generally, we're not even touching that because of the locations where we want to have that intercom feature from brilliant control to brilliant control. But again, best practice for every 1 brilliant control. I don't like to go more than 15 to 20 dimmers. Not often we're seeing that just because of the location of where that second control, that third control, that 8th control is going to go, depending on how the kind of floor plan and layout is. So looking at this one more time, that was a very basic solution. Let's say if I was to go to the 9s, if this is my place, you have a big budget, you want to make sure it's the best possible experience. Let's see here, because you don't always want controls in all locations. It doesn't always make sense to have controls in all locations. Hey, if I have let's see, looking back at this, utility closet. I don't need a brilliant control in the utility closet. Makes no sense to have one there. So let's see, we put a 4-gang brilliant control right here. At the entrance, I would actually probably still put 2 dimmers. I'm going to put a 2 and a dimmer there, if I can do this well. I had to just draw it like that, 2 dimmer. That's how we're going to do it. So 2 dimmers there. But we'll also note, hey, this is, if I follow the lines again, one, two, up to my first gang. So a brilliant control and a dimmer, that is okay in a multi-way. And if you have questions about that wiring, again, from the line side, we cap the red traveler. We just want to carry power through all the way to your load side wired as a single pole, one light switch, one light. If you want a technical training on that, reach out to me directly, oki@brilliant.tech, or if you went to your pro page, pro.brilliant.tech, you can request a technical training. And again, that'll just flow through me. We'll get you all set up so you can see the wiring diagrams. We can send you the wiring diagrams. We walk through it on our training rig, so we follow the Romex. We know the expected behavior, what will and won't happen before and after configuration. Just know you're doing all things in the proper way. So again, I'd put 2 dimmers here. I got my 4 gang right there. What else do we have? So looks like we have a single switch for a closet. Probably a little redundant to put a brilliant control and another brilliant control right there, so I'm going to put another dimmer switch in that location. For my 2 switch over here in the family room, let's see, one is in a hallway, so that's a 3-way in the hallway, and that's a 3-way, so multiple 3-ways. Dimmer, that might be a long way, but you're not going to intercom from there. That's open space. Probably 2 more dimmers here. I'd say 2 dimmers. So we have 2 dimmers, a 4-gang control, 2 more dimmers, a dimmer over here. In this spot, that hallway, you don't need a control there, so I'll put 1 dimmer here. And then I actually would leave the control in the bedroom. If people are worried about privacy and sensitivity with the camera, as you know, there is the physical piece of plastic to cover up the camera shutter. Also in the software, when you're first configuring the system, it actually asks you, do you want to enable access to the camera? So by default, the camera access is disabled. We would leave that as disabled. If you ever want to change that, you can always come back later to disable that feature. Now, with this situation, because the control's in the bedroom, I would also want to make sure my display settings are set up appropriately. So, hey, do I want that screen to light up with motion or without motion? What hours do I want that active? I don't want me rolling over in the middle of the night to accidentally turn on that screen and get all bright and brighten it up. Make sure you're always thinking about that to delight those clients, part of that VIP experience and touch point of, hey, let's dial in every little piece. What do you want the motion on this control to do? In addition to that, what do you want the motion on this dimmer? I'd put a dimmer up here in the bedroom to do, and not just the dimmer, the status light of that dimmer. Hallways, the status light, I'm leaving that status light on. It's perfect in the middle of the night. It's enough light so you're not stepping on the kids' Legos. Great in bathrooms, so you're not, as you can see what you're doing, and the lights don't come on to full blast. Conversely, if that dimmer is in the bedroom, this dimmer here in this bedroom, I would have that status light off. I don't want that light. It's too bright at night. I can't sleep. And I usually just tell people to close your eyes. It's not that bright, but people have different sensitivity levels to the brightness. So I'd put a dimmer right there. Let's see, if we go into the bathroom, we have a 2-gang in the bathroom. One is for, looks like the light right there. The other is tied to a light and a fan. So as you know, we do fan control, but only in the on-off configuration. Looks like in this case, it's tied to a light and a fan. So I might not put a 2-gang control in here, just because I'd probably want that separate, though it looks like it's tied to the same switch. So outside of a rewire in this situation, those are going to be together. In this case, I might actually put a 2-gang brilliant control in here. So I might put a 2G right there. And I'm personally a big fan of controls in maybe larger bathrooms or walk-in closets. Areas where, and if I look at this floor plan, maybe not the biggest bathroom or, a walk-in closet in here. But that being said, those walk-in closets, people are generally spending a little bit of time in there. They've sometimes upgraded the closet to have music in there. Hey, if I put some in-ceiling speakers because I'm getting ready with that walk-in closet, I want a great way to access that music. Get to my favorites, I use the touchscreen. If I want a quick getting ready scene, boom, it plays my getting ready, going out music specifically for that room and adjust the light level to that perfect brightness. It's great right there. Or what I oftentimes find is I'm cooking out here in the kitchen, down low, and I need to intercom across the house. And my wife is not in her she shed. She's in the bathroom putting herself together or whatever it may be. Say, instead of yelling, knowing that it's going from the kitchen all the way through the hallway, all the way through that door to try and get to the bathroom, generally not going to be the greatest. So I find the intercom to be a fantastic feature that's helpful to have in bathrooms. Now, you'll have that conversation with your clients. It's more, again, about their privacy and sensitivity levels, but some quick, easy buttons to be like, hey, it's the shower time scene, as opposed to if you see my in-home demo, hey, you can still have that scene with a dimmer, with a double tap of that dimmer switch to activate a scene. So in this case, maybe you do put two dimmers in here. You double tap it and you have a hidden speaker or some in-ceiling speakers to play that shower time scene. Plays the music that you want, dims down the light to the appropriate level. Again, it's creativity in what that client wants. It's really not a wrong choice one way or the other. It's your personal preference, it's the client's personal preference as you start to design these systems. So again, these things that I'm looking at where are my walls that I have to be considerate of as far as distance goes for the Bluetooth mesh. I'm looking at my three-ways. Are they marked or not marked? In this electrical diagram, it doesn't happen to be marked. So I have to notice, all right, I'm going to design it this way. If I'm putting a dimmer here, oh, that is going to need another dimmer on this end. And how we've designed it, hey, two dimmers here, dimmer, dimmer, and a dimmer there in that three-way, you're good to go in that situation. Hey, a dimmer on that three-way, which means I need another Brilliant device, dimmer and a control. I'm good on that three-way. That first gang down here, I'm tracking it to the front entrance. Hey, a dimmer here and a control, that's good to go. Again, the time where it would not work is if you have a Brilliant dimmer and a traditional on-off switch. That's a no-go. That will not work. The other situation would be if you had a Brilliant control and a traditional dimmer, a non-Brilliant dimmer. That would not work. Okay, that has to be an on-off paddle switch for that other device with a Brilliant control. So keep that in mind. This is one example of a diagram that I've been sent that I've been working on. So there's that one. Another one, let's exit out of here, and I get the spinning pinwheel because my computer's a little bit slow. Gonna minimize that one. There's my dog, always love that in the background. And we're gonna pull up this one. This one might look familiar to one of you. Don't worry, I've blocked out any personal information on the side and on the bottom. Let's go ahead and blow this one up. This is another example of a diagram that I've been sent, and I've been actually walking through with one of our partners who may or may not be on the webinar, saying, hey, this was sent to me, fantastic. This makes my life a little bit easier because I'm looking, oh, it's already been outlined on the right. Hey, the foyer is lined, line item number 1 down here. It's a 1, 2, 3. It's a 4 gang because there's 4 different pieces that are tied in. So in this situation, I'm not looking at necessarily the S with or the dollar sign with the line through it to check if there's a light switch there. This has kind of been laid out for me if what size gang it is. So we can see over here it's the 4 gang, what lights it's controlling. Let's see, I believe 3-ways were also listed in here. 3 gang, 2 gang, maybe it was listed in another spot, but either way, with those 3-ways and those other situations. So this is another home. Hey, how do we want to design this? What's the best experience? So let's go ahead. Let's zoom in just a pinch over here. And again, we have the garage, the entry, and we talk about controls going in the high traffic locations, kitchens, living rooms, entries, exits, pieces like that. So in this situation, I have my entry into the foyer, and what's around? I have stairs, I have a study, there's a utility closet, we have a great room right here. There's a lot that's going on in this. I probably am going to want a control at the entry because it's a little, I'd say, separated from a lot of these other spaces. So I would put a 4-gang control in this location. So let me get again, I got to move some little pieces here. I want my pen. Let's mark it up. Let's stay consistent with the orange everywhere. Orange, orange, and the type texts to also be orange. There we go. So down here, number 1, I'm going to put a 4-gang. Like that. Oh my gosh, it's a terrible 4. My apologies. So I'm going to 4-gang there at the entry, and we don't have to worry about if we're in that 3-way because traditionally it's going to be an on-off switch at the other one. That covers my foyer, porch lights, soffit, and soffit outlets. Fantastic. Other places, I'm looking here, we have the owner's suite, the great room. Kitchen by default is always going to be a de facto go-to. That's where I spend a lot of my time as the chef in the house. That's where if the doorbell is pressed, I'm activating scenes, if I'm playing music. Oftentimes we're socializing in the kitchen and not necessarily in the great room or the dining room because that's where the food is. So number 5 for me, just single gang for the upper cabinet lights. Well, what else is here in the kitchen? That's 7A. That's pantry light and also to the garage. And 7 is the pantry. Yeah, we don't need to worry about that. So here at 5, I'm going to put a single gang control. I'm going to just put 1, G right there for number 5. So I've got here in my single gang for my kitchen, and I have my entry. Let's look at other spots. The garage, the guest bedroom, the dining room, the great room. Move that. Here we go. Naturally, the owner's suite, owner's closet, owner's bath. These look to be a little larger than our other floor plan. These are places where I think about having another control. So if I'm trying to get them, hey, we got dinner that's ready. Hey, people are coming out. What do we need to do? It's time to go. I'm probably going to put a control over here. Let's see. We have the owner's suite, 9A. That's the fan, controllable location. And then down here. So let's see. If great room, we walk in over here. I would honestly probably put a control if I go bathroom, walk-in shower, the owner's closet. I'd probably put a control. Ooh, this is almost 50-50 swap. Probably 2 controls would be a little too redundant. I'll put a control. Put it in here. Put a control in the closet. And I know it seems silly, but there's an island in the middle, a closet system, You're probably going to have some music. You're going to spend a little bit of time in here getting ready in this type of one. Whereas for here, I would put dimmer switches. So we'll put, again, oh, I'm doing it wrong. We'll put a D like that for dimmers down here. So again, let's continue to build this out. What are those other high traffic locations? Let's not be too redundant with too many controls and have it make sense. We have the foyer. If we have a long hallway, if this is nighttime, I want to make sure I'm seeing. Chances are this is going to be in a 3-way, but I'm going to put a dimmer on one end and a dimmer on the other end of that. So now I have the status light on the dimmer switch. I can see in the hallway in the middle of the night as I'm walking through. Maybe the screen lights up. On the control, oh, we didn't put a control there for the great room. What's 4? 1, 2, 3, 4 control to control, or what I wanted for 9? Is it fan control and then the great room? Probably depends on how this is laid. I have a 1G here. I would actually like a control. Which location? I like a control over here next to the 4. And that way it's a little bit separated control. And then in the dining room, we have a bath. I put another control over here. I like that as far as my control locations. We can use dimmers on that. If I have a great room and I have a TV, this looks like a TV that's probably mounted right over here on this side. I don't want to be distracted by a control. That way dimmer switches is just all your status lights, whether they're all on or all off. That's where I'd put it. Coming over here into the guest rooms on the right side of the house. Maybe the pantry, actually, I put a dimmer switch. The pantry, that way I walk in, that area lights up. Bathroom, definitely over here. I'd say a couple dimmers in this location. So we'll put some dimmers here. We have a guest bedroom, guest bathroom. I mean, if I'm going all out, I'm probably putting more dimmers here in the guest bathroom. I might even put potentially a control here. Put a control in the guest room. Cabana bathroom, cabana guest room. Yeah, soffit light 3-way. That's perfect with a control. Leave it as a paddle switch. I'm good to go. So it did locate it over here in my legend in 3-way, just like that. Other spots, 8A, that's the dining room fixture. So maybe for 8, control, maybe that's the control instead of that one. Yeah, let's put a control over here. I like it. Just feels like this makes a little bit more sense visually for this. So if that's going to the outside, you can put some dimmers in that location. So again, you start to see where my mind is at as I'm trying to evenly space out control, 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 control. So my dimmers aren't getting, separate, not going dimmer too far before I'm reaching a control. I'd say the only maybe saturated point would be if I have a control here, potentially down here from the garage. A garage is actually a surprising place to have a control or a dimmer. Depending on what that person does in the garage. If they like working on their truck, if they like, or their car, they have my dream of golf sim. They're spending a bunch of time in the garage. Whatever it may be, they're playing music, they're doing things, they're tinkering. Might be a good spot for a control. If not, throw another dimmer in there. That way you don't worry about it, but a garage is a great spot for a control, so I will drop a control in here because you get home, you tap it at your I'm home scene, so now immediately when you walk into the house, the music is playing, doing exactly what you want to do. The lights are doing exactly what you want to do. Maybe other doors, the family's coming in through the entry, that door has unlocked. Maybe some shades raised or lower. All those little experiences that we like to tinker and tweak with, it's just a little bit more accessible with a control versus a dimmer. Because a dimmer, though great and valuable because you can double tap to assign one scene to a dimmer, the control, of course, gives you access to all of those scenes quickly and easily without having to pull out your phone. So this is a more advanced type of experience. And again, we can play around with it. If you want to bounce ideas off of me, this is how I start to approach designing a system. And whether it's electrical blueprints, whether it's something that's a little more advanced like this, and I've even been sent, as I exit out of there, something crazy. I've been sent this before. Yes, something like this. These are 4 penthouse suites, one upper left, one bottom left, upper right, lower right. I can work with you on all of this to start to design some of these systems. So if I zoom in a little bit further, dollar sign, is it the dollar sign with a 3-way on these? There we go. Down here, you can see this one was labeled. There's that dollar sign with the 3 where my mouse is, so I know that's in a 3-way. So again, these are services that we offer. These are things that we do. That's how I approach designing a system, and really how we can support you and you design your systems as well. So I hope that was helpful in just kind of giving you some insights into how I design systems. I work with you, understanding budgets, what that client wants, what that opportunity is. And if you have questions around that, it looks like there are a few comments or something in the Q&A. Perfect. We're going to answer a couple of these questions. All right, Sean, good to see you on here, buddy. You go single gain control of the stairs and the rest dimmers. Cheaper and more central to family room kitchen, closer to the bedroom to increase in case of the HO doesn't want, the homeowner doesn't want camera or Alexa in the bedroom. No, that's a fantastic point. And those are things to keep in mind. Privacy issues, sensitivity. I mentioned the camera, but also the Alexa voice capabilities. If you are an old user of Brilliant, you might not have known this, but on our new 2nd-gen faceplates, I say new loosely, they've been around for a while now, on the back of the faceplate to meet the privacy and security protocols of Amazon and Alexa, there's actually a little switch or a button on the back of the faceplate that you can physically disable that camera through a switch. So not only is it done through our software, but it can also be done physically on the back of a faceplate with a little toggle switch, a physical toggle switch that's on there to disable. So that's a perfect use case, Sean, to where you have the controls in more centralized locations and leave the dimmers for the auxiliary locations. Privacy, cameras, Alexa, voice, all really important and key. I'd say you probably see a little bit more of that with the production homeowners, but potentially on those super, super high-end clients that are very private and very personal, they want more privacy in that case. Absolutely, great placement there. Anonymous attendee, do smart plugs need to be set up as a repeater? No, that happens naturally within our software. You simply add the smart plug as you normally do through the Brilliant app. So you scan the QR code, it goes from flashing blue to solid white. Great, it's been added in. And once it's been added in once, it's like your phone. You can turn it off, you can turn it back on. It's going to remember what it's been named. But just be careful if you were to move that smart plug around. Maybe you named it, primary bedroom smart plug, and it's stuck in the primary bedroom. Well, if you were to unplug that smart plug and move it into the hallway, it's going to work. It stays configured. It comes back online. But in your app, it's still going to say primary bedroom smart plug. You may want to think about renaming it. But if you're moving it and you're not too concerned, no big deal. You can always, if you have 5, 6, 7 smart plugs in the home, hey, just turn it off, turn it back on. Oh, which one? Oh, it's this one that turned off and back on. Because it'll change the lights. You'll hear a slight click as it turns off to on. But they don't need to be set up as repeaters. They automatically act like that for the Brilliant mesh specifically. And perfect. Looks like that's it for the questions. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Looks like that is it. Sold. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope this gave you some good insights into how I approach designing systems. Again, if you are new, shoot some blueprints over to me. I'm happy to walk with you on that. If you have a high-end VIP job you want some feedback on, if your electrical diagram is just a little confused, let me work with you on this, and we can help design a system together that not only goes through the Brilliant devices, but I would also start to add on those other pieces. Hey, where can I slide in some Sonos speakers or some Blue Sound speakers? Where can I sneak in a smart lock? Where can I sneak in a doorbell? Where would shades make sense? Where are these other pieces that we tie into and integrate with to round out the solution for that experience? So beyond just getting the lights to the right level and that core functionality, it's, hey, I know I'm listening to music when I'm making dinner, let's start to design a system more holistically beyond just the Brilliant, but the complete package with all those smart home devices that we have. So with that, again, this session was recorded. Thank you so much. Be on the lookout for more from us next month, but we'd love to see orders of PoE, love to see orders of the standard product. The usual stuff. You know how to reach me. oki at brilliant.tech, excuse me. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email, shoot me a phone call, whatever it is. We want to make sure you're crushing out there. So thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.